According to a new report, Wendy Williams does not have frontotemporal dementia.
Was playing with Puff. He went behind him and grabbed his trunks and pulled them down. Some girls knew was taking pictures. They took that picture and emailed it back to Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams said she had him in a compromising position.
The streets are buzzing because a fresh report just dropped claiming Wendy Williams never had frontotemporal dementia at all. This latest update is shaking everybody, especially since it suggests Wendy might finally be breaking out of that messy guardianship that's been controlling her life for years. New neurological tests came back, and the results point to something dark. Wendy may have been intentionally misdiagnosed with conditions she didn't even have. And the wildest part, the same team chosen by the court to protect her is the one allegedly tied to this whole setup. For months, Wendy's been shouting that something wasn't right, telling the world she wasn't losing her mind, but people brushed her off like she was exaggerating. Even Nicki Minaj stepped up and tried to warn everyone, dropping hints about what was really happening behind the scenes. She even suggested she could be next in line to get misdiagnosed and pushed into her own conservatorship. That claim shook folks, but just like Wendy, people ignored it until the situation exploded. Everything blew open after TMZ reported that Wendy recently did a full set of neurological exams with a top specialist in New York, and this expert said Wendy does not have the condition that kept her locked under a guardian for years. This was a huge twist because Wendy had been placed in multiple mental health facilities. Her hit TV show was taken away, her contact with family got cut off, and she was reportedly given medications for illnesses she didn't even have. How does someone go through all that only for the truth to come out like this? According to Wendy, this wasn't some innocent mistake. It was a calculated move. She claims Wells Fargo pushed this whole narrative to get control of her money and make decisions behind her back. They were the ones who argued she needed a court-appointed guardian because she supposedly couldn't manage her finances or protect herself. After that, she was stamped with diagnoses like frontotemporal dementia and aphasia, and everything spiraled from there. And here's where it gets even more suspicious. After Wendy's legal guardian Sabrina Morrissey took over, there were reports saying Wendy was finally improving. So how did she suddenly go from doing better to having multiple serious illnesses overnight? Wendy's son, Kevin Jr., wasn't buying it either. He even commented under a Shade Room post calling the whole situation fake. He said Wendy's doctor claimed her condition was linked to alcohol, yet her own team kept letting her drink. On top of that, the family was cut off completely, left in the dark about where Wendy was or what was being done to her.
The Guardian has not done a good job of protecting my mom.
Wendy has been fighting nonstop to break free from this guardianship, but the people in control refuse to loosen their grip. She's pushed back in every way she can, even getting multiple independent evaluations from outside specialists who confirmed she didn't have the illnesses she was being labeled with. But somehow the guardianship team kept insisting she did, acting like those new evaluations didn't matter at all. It left a lot of folks confused because experts say that frontotemporal dementia doesn't magically improve. People usually decline over time. But Wendy kept showing signs of strength, especially after becoming clean and sober 3 years ago, and her recovery had people questioning the whole situation. Now TMZ is reporting that Wendy's legal team is gearing up for a major move. They're planning to file new documents with the court in the next 2 weeks to request a full hearing where they'll ask the judge to finally end this guardianship. And if the judge pushes back or refuses to terminate it, powerhouse attorney Joe Taylor is ready to take this fight even further. He's prepared to demand a full jury trial so regular citizens, not just one judge, can hear the facts and decide if Wendy should be free. That's a bold strategy, and it shows they're not backing down this time. When Wendy first got pulled into this guardianship mess, people immediately started pointing fingers. The top name on everybody's suspect list was Diddy, mainly because he and Wendy have a long, complicated history. Their issues go way back, and anyone who's been following their drama knows that Wendy and Diddy have clashed more than once. Wendy has made claims about him for years, and plenty of people believe Diddy had personal reasons to want her silenced or discredited during that time. Wendy once accused him of being involved in a situation that he definitely didn't want the world talking about. She said someone emailed her photos of Diddy while he was vacationing in Mexico, and in those pictures, another man was allegedly performing something intimate on him. That claim spread fast because Wendy didn't hold back. She spoke on it publicly and said it out loud, which caused major tension between them. People started whispering that the moment she said, that on air was the moment she painted a target on her back, and the timing of everything that followed made fans suspicious all over again.
Williams, she got fired from Hot 97 because she had a picture of Puffy. So if you don't mind, give me the story from your point of view, and what was in the picture?
We were in Cancun. For whatever reason, dude was playing with Puff. He went behind him and grabbed his trunks and pulled them down. Some girls was taking pictures. They took that picture and emailed it back to Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams said she had him in a compromising position and like it was gay, something like that. She was gonna put it out. Wendy had shown people that email. Puff told Hot 97 if they didn't get rid of her before he got back in New York, that they was not gonna get any music from any of his friends, any of the record labels executives that was cool with him. Everybody was gonna boycott their station. We was out in LA for about 3 days before we landed back in New York. Wendy Williams was in the radio station in Philly. She was fired.
Come from a very homosexual era of hip hop as well. There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams, and she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such. And now it's all come full circle. There were many situations, none of which to talk about, but there were many situations back in the day in my career, and it's all coming full circle now. So
people still talk about that moment in hip-hop history when a then 19-year-old Shine ended up taking the blame for that club situation involving Diddy. The whole story was messy from the start, and Wendy was one of the few voices bold enough to say out loud that something about that night didn't sit right. She questioned how the whole thing unfolded so quickly and why every detail seemed too convenient for the people with power. Wendy pushed for a deeper investigation because she felt there were pieces missing, and she refused to just accept the public version of the story without looking at what was happening behind the scenes. While most media personalities stayed quiet, Wendy kept raising questions that made people uncomfortable. She even suggested that Diddy and Jennifer Lopez weren't being fully transparent about what really went down that night. She wondered why their statements didn't match certain reports and why certain details disappeared so fast. People said Wendy was being too bold, but she wasn't scared to speak on it, and she made it clear something didn't add up. Those moments made fans realize Wendy wasn't afraid to challenge anybody, not even people with global fame and massive influence. Wendy's instincts didn't stop there either. Long before Cassie walked away from her situation with Diddy, Wendy had already started bringing light to the unusual dynamic between them. She pointed out things others ignored, asking why certain patterns were always brushed aside like they weren't serious. Wendy would go on air and talk about their relationship in a way nobody else dared to, highlighting behavior from Diddy that she felt deserved attention. She wasn't calling for drama, she was calling for honesty. And every time she spoke on it, people felt the shockwaves. You could tell she saw signs that others weren't looking at, and that made her commentary hit even harder. What's wild is how everything Wendy said back then keeps getting revisited now that more stories and claims about Diddy are resurfacing. People online are saying Wendy saw things early, long before the rest of the world caught on. She didn't have proof in her hand, but she had intuition, and she trusted it enough to speak up while others avoided the topic completely. Every time she brought up Diddy's name, she shook the industry a little more, and her willingness to talk about these situations is exactly why some folks believe she ended up with powerful enemies watching her every move.
Ran out of the club so fast and got into the waiting SUV that it wasn't until he got into the truck that he realized that he left Jennifer behind, along with his bodyguard, Anthony Wolf. He just ran. Forget it. That's a true sign of an itch bag, by the way. Leaving his
I thought it was an unk bag.
Well, eventually, Jennifer and Wolf made their way to the SUV without Puffy.
Right.
They ran 11 lights to elude the cops. Supposedly it was Puffy, although people are saying they saw a female hand tossing the window. And then when the cops stopped them, they found a second gun, of course, in the car.
Right.
All four of the occupants, the driver, the bodyguard, Puffy and Jennifer, were handcuffed and taken down to the precinct. And eventually, Puffy and his bodyguard, Wolf, were overheard talking about their plot to bribe the driver to take the rap for the. And Puffy was overheard saying, and I quote, because the prosecutor said this, "I can't go to jail, I'm Puff Daddy."
He was arrested with a deadly weapon. And
Puffy wants Cassie back. Oh,
Oh, it's been all over social media. Puffy posted a picture of Michael Jackson's song, Lady in My Life, and wrote, if anyone sees Cassie this weekend, please tell her to listen to this song 100 times. I suggest don't use social media, though, to reach out. I think this is a grand overture from Puffy. I don't believe he really wants her back. I believe he probably treated her at some particular point like a possession, like a possession. And if you really care, then you'd reach out privately, not publicly.
I had bad blood for a while.
Real bad.
Real bad blood.
The worst blood.
The worst blood. You almost wanted to run you out of New York at one point, right? Well, not run, like push you out of New York at one point. He had you ran out. You give him full credit for that? Okay, cool. He had you ran out of New York.
Things reached a point where the tension between Diddy and Wendy felt extremely real, and people still talk about the moment he brought her teenage son into their conversation during an interview. Wendy had invited him onto her show expecting the usual back and forth, but out of nowhere, Diddy randomly mentioned her son, and the whole room shifted instantly. You could see Wendy freeze for a second because she understood the weight behind that sudden comment, and viewers felt the energy change the moment it happened. Folks online have been revisiting that interview for years, saying the way he mentioned her son didn't feel casual at all. It felt like a message being slipped into the conversation. The way he said it didn't match the flow of their interview, almost like he dropped it in to remind her how far his reach went. A lot of people felt like he was trying to nudge her into staying silent about certain topics, especially since Wendy had been one of the loudest voices calling out situations involving him. When someone brings up a person's child during a heated moment, fans notice, and the reaction online shows that viewers definitely caught the tension. Wendy looked uncomfortable, and you could tell her instincts kicked in right away. She wasn't scared, Wendy never was. But she became cautious because bringing up a teenager in a grown-up conflict isn't something she took lightly. People said the expression on her face during that moment said everything without her needing to speak. It was like she processed the meaning behind his words instantly, and it hit her that the situation had reached a new level. Even longtime fans said they had never seen Wendy that on edge during an interview. After that interview aired, people on social media started analyzing the clip, replaying the moment frame by frame. They felt like the comment wasn't innocent and that Diddy wanted her to stop talking about certain stories or stop questioning certain rumors. Some viewers felt he was trying to intimidate her without saying anything directly, and that's why the moment stayed in people's minds for so long. Even now, fans bring up that interview whenever conversations about Wendy and Diddy come up, because it became one of those moments that hinted their behind-the-scenes tension was way deeper than anyone expected. Wendy moved carefully after that, especially as the mother of a teenager who deserved to stay far away from adult drama. But even then, she never fully backed down, which is why so many viewers still respect how she handled that moment with strength and calm.
The mother of a now 16-year-old.
Who I met backstage,
He did?
He's a great young man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You represent a lot.
When it comes to Nicki Minaj, people can say whatever they want about her, but calling her a liar has never stuck. And now the public is finally waking up to that. For years, folks acted like she was exaggerating, but suddenly her claims are lining up with everything going on around Wendy. At first, everybody assumed Diddy was the only person connected to Wendy's situation because of their long, messy history. But Nicki's recent comments suggest the story runs way deeper than anyone expected. Nicki came out saying Jay-Z and Roc Nation weren't just watching from the sidelines. They allegedly played a part in what happened to Wendy, and she believes they're trying to pull the same stunt on her too. That shook fans because Nicki rarely points fingers without a reason. A few days ago, things escalated after she clashed with Charlamagne Tha God over an interview he did with Gucci Mane and Keyshia Kawar, and that's when she dropped the bombshell. She said Roc Nation was using Charlamagne to help push Wendy into that guardianship, and she didn't hold back at all. She tweeted that Charlamagne, the fraud, is Jay-Z's friend and business associate, and accused him of using iHeartRadio to pull off disgusting ploys against innocent families. She even said he was around Wendy before her life went to hell, and she told everybody to bookmark her tweet because she wasn't playing around. That message spread fast because Nicki wasn't being cryptic. She was being direct, and people weren't used to her speaking on industry power moves this openly. Then Tasha K jumped in and added even more layers to the conversation. According to her, Roc Nation has allegedly been trying to set up a guardianship situation for Nicki, just like the one Wendy ended up in. But the only thing blocking that plan is Nicki's husband, Kenneth Petty. Tasha explained that since Nicki is married, even if shady doctors tried to slap her with false mental health diagnoses, her finances would legally shift to her husband, not to a court-appointed guardian. That one detail makes it almost impossible for anyone to take control of her money through a guardianship. Tasha pointed out something else fans hadn't noticed until now. She said that if you look closely at the celebrities who were pushed into conservatorships, there's a pattern. None of them were married. Britney Spears wasn't married when she was placed under a conservatorship, and Wendy had already divorced by the time Wells Fargo pushed for her guardian. Marriage legally complicates the process, which is why some people think certain celebrities were more vulnerable. Nicki's claims are making people look at old stories with new eyes, and now the internet is buzzing because her timeline matches too many details Wendy lived through.
This is not something that is like a conspiracy theory. This shit actually happens. But if they're able to separate Nicki and Kenny, that makes Nicki vulnerable because your husband is your power of attorney. Your husband is your signator on all of your accounts in the event anything goes wrong. Michael wasn't married. Britney Spears was married, but of course they control all of that. And so the mere fact that all these narratives are out about Kenny stealing this to buy chains and buy that, that's not what it is. It's like, you know, they got doctors that are giving out these diagnoses saying that she's schizophrenic and bipolar and all of this stuff. And then Kenny's now here. You know, she trusts Kenny. Of course, they've known each other since they were kids. Their families know each other. And so Kenny is just in the way. And so what do? You create narratives to try to separate, because if you separate, then you can divide and conquer. And so that's what it's about. You know, she's going into her latter years and, you know, there's a lot of money on the line and she's worth a lot, but Kenny is in the way. And so, yeah, I mean, look at what they're doing to Wendy Williams. Had Wendy would have still been with Kelvin, they wouldn't have been able to put her under a conservatorship because she has a husband. So, you know, and like I said, there was only one that was accused of stealing. We're going to leave it at that. Okay?
People online have been arguing nonstop, and one person finally snapped saying, "Y'all gonna stop twisting my damn words. Nicki Minaj ain't got no schizophrenia." Fans are pointing out that the industry has a pattern, labeling outspoken artists with mental health conditions to make them seem unstable. They brought up how Kanye was put under a 5150 hold for having bipolar disorder, which is a mood condition, and how folks then tried to seize his assets just because he was speaking his mind. That comparison had people looking sideways at what's happening now. They also mentioned Wendy Williams, saying she was stuck in a luxury medical suite while her lawyers spent her money like it was nothing. Then they brought up how Michael Jackson is gone and how Britney Spears had to leave the US and hide out in Mexico just to finally breathe after years under her conservatorship. People are asking what part of this pattern isn't clear because it looks too familiar to be ignored. Some feel like this is a system set up to make certain artists look incapable so their money and decisions can be controlled. Nicki's supporters keep saying her husband is the main reason they can't do the same thing to her, because legally, being married changes everything. They're also saying this whole thing allegedly started after Nicki tweeted about the COVID vaccine, and that's when things shifted. Fans think that's when people behind the scenes started treating her like she was a problem. Now folks are speculating that Wendy's supposed misdiagnosis wasn't random at all. Some people believe the timing was strategic, that she had to be placed in a guardianship while Diddy's trial was happening so she wouldn't be able to speak in court about anything she experienced. And now that the trial is over and she's not needed, suddenly new tests are being taken seriously and she's cleared. That timing has the internet raising eyebrows. Wendy reportedly had multiple independent evaluations done earlier, and none of those results mattered. But right after the trial ended, one more test came in, and suddenly everybody believes her now. That shift made people question everything even more, and Nicki being called unstable out of nowhere, just when rumors about Jay-Z possibly being looked at started circulating, fans feel like they're being played right in front of their faces. People online are heated. One person wrote that Wendy's family should sue whoever misdiagnosed her because that mistake destroyed years of her life. Another person said Wendy's condo was sold, her pet was taken away, and thousands of dollars of her clothes and personal items disappeared. Someone else added that even Wendy admitted she went to rehab, but everything after that spiraled out of her control. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Wendy is finally getting her freedom back for real? And do you believe Nicki Minaj could be the next one they try to put in a guardianship? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, hit subscribe, share this video with someone who needs the tea, and I'll see you on the next one.